I was gifted some fresh rhubarb last night, so that means rhubarb crisp or crumble or whatever you call it. I'm gonna pair it with some fresh strawberries and blackberries that I also have in my fridge, and we're gonna top it with the grain-free low-carb crumble. So the first thing we're gonna need is some cold vegan butter or coconut oil or palm shortening, whatever you wanna use, but I just made this vegan butter and it's still soft. So we're gonna scoop out 4 tablespoons of it, which is about a 1/4 cup. And then I'm gonna fold over the parchment paper and squish it kind of flat because it's gonna chill faster and it's gonna be easier to crumble into our crumble later. So I'm gonna pop that in the freezer while I weigh out the rest. So we've got some almond flour and some coconut flour. We're gonna add some dried coconut flakes, whether you have the flakes or the desiccated, doesn't matter. Then some granulated sugar of choice and some pecans and sea salt. For sugar, I'm using brown allulose, which you can make yourself. I'll link the recipe for that. And for nuts, you can sub for the pecans, whatever nuts you like. Walnuts, sliced almonds are delicious too. We're just gonna pulse this all up in the food processor till your nuts are nicely broken up. And then I'm gonna crumble in our cold fat, whether you're going with the butter or the shortening or coconut oil, and then we're just going to pulse this until it crumbles. So now I'm going to pour it into a bowl, because what I like to do is I like to get my hands in there and I like to compress it into large chunks and then lightly break it up into big chunks. That way I have a mix of sizes of the crumble with some big nuggets, some little nugget, and then we're going to pop this in the fridge while we prep our filling. So I've got 1 pound of fresh rhubarb that I've already washed, and we're gonna cut the ends off, and then we're just gonna cut it into 1/4 inch thick pieces and throw that in your dish. I'm using a casserole dish that's about 8 by 8 inches. 9 by 9 will work too. You can use a glass Pyrex dish or a baking dish, whatever you've got will work. And then I've got a pound of fresh berries. I just happen to have strawberries and blackberries in my fridge, and it just happened to weigh a pound altogether, so that worked out perfect. So I've washed them, and I'm going to cut the strawberries in half. If you have bigger strawberries, go ahead and cut them into quarters. You can also use frozen fruit here. I would defrost it and drain off the juices just so your filling is not super liquidy. And while strawberries is the classic pairing with rhubarb, really you just want something that's on the sweeter side to pair with the sourness of the rhubarb. So any berry would work. You could use blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, but apples is also a really great pairing, especially if it's not berry season near you. Sidebar, how beautiful are these colors together? Now we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of vanilla to our filling, and then we're gonna add some sweetener. I'm using allulose again here, and we're just gonna sprinkle it over and then give it a nice toss. Now, we're not adding any starch to our filling here. If you're not avoiding starch, you can go ahead and add a tablespoon of your favorite starch, whether you like to use tapioca or arrowroot or cornstarch, and it will thicken up your filling a little more. You'll notice once this is cooked that there is a little bit of juices, but as it cools, they're kind of absorbed back in. After I've cleaned up my mess, I'm gonna go grab the crumble from the fridge and just sprinkle it over top of your filling. Spread it out a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to kind of get it in all the little corners. Once you're happy with it, we're gonna pop it in our oven at 325 for about 30 minutes. Now, one thing, a word of caution, especially if you're using allulose can burn at higher oven temperatures, and coconut flour also can burn easily, so check on your crumble after about 15 to 20 minutes, and if you notice it's getting really dark really fast, then I would tent it with foil just to stop it from burning, and pull it from your oven and let it rest for about 5 minutes before digging in. It's still nice to eat this while it's warm, but not super piping hot right from the oven. So give it about 5 minutes, and then you can scoop in and enjoy. I don't know about you, but in my household growing up, it was mandatory to serve a warm crisp with some nice cold ice cream. So I'm gonna serve this up with some coconut vanilla so delicious ice cream, but feel free to top it with your favorite ice cream. We also just shared a super easy 2-ingredient ice cream made with coconut milk and dates, so that would give you a nice vegan dairy-free ice cream option that's refined sugar-free. It's really easy to do, and you just make it in the food processor, but I always have a tub of So Delicious just as backup. How amazing does that look?